Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. My name is Karl, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Here at UUFC, we welcome all those who come seeking a spiritual home among us. Whether this is your 100th time or your first time. If you happen to be a first-time visitor, we would love to get to know you. If you are here in person, please be sure to visit our welcome table right outside the sanctuary and stay for conversation after the service during our social hour. If you're at home and are viewing us online, we would be happy for you to receive our newsletter by emailing the office or visiting our website at uufc.org so that you can learn more about us. I have a few announcements. The 2026 UUFC Women's Retreat, Roselle and Aguirre wishes to open this event up to anyone of any gender identity to attend. I wonder what it would be like for Karl at a women's retreat. It is scheduled for Saturday, February 21st at 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Breakfast, lunch, and childcare will be provided. There's a suggestion donation of $10 registered today, and there's a link in the weekly connection. If you're new to the UUFC, join us on Sunday, February 22nd from 11:45 to 1 p.m. to learn more about UUFC and the broader UU community, as well as to share where you are on your spiritual journey and how you would like to connect with others. RSVP with administration, ADMIN, at uufc.org, or just show up. More information can be found at the welcome table in the atrium. You may notice the blue tarp out by the road. That is soil to build up the berm for a new sign. Example of the sign is posted in the social room.
I'd like to also extend you a warm welcome this morning, especially on this kind of drizzly, rainy morning. I'm the Reverend Holly Brown. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the minister here at UUFC. I'd like to offer these as our call to worship this morning. Love is the doctrine of this church. Many UU churches begin service with this phrase and its worthy principle. But can we go further? Can we try? There's a word I invite you to contemplate this morning, agape. Agape love, a radical, quiet, boundless, unconditional love. Agape love is the love that we have for God, the universe, the interconnected web, for whatever words for spirit make your soul sing. Agape is also a love of spirit has for us, and if we can find God in the face of everyone that we see, we can have agape love for others. And imagine, we could even have it for ourselves. Then we'll understand that our worth does not depend on how many Valentines we got, or if our girlfriend thinks we're cute, or if our mother said, "I love you" often enough. We can let everything that isn't the capital L fall away for just a little while and try, as the song says, to hold the whole world in our hands. Can we love ourselves enough to remember that we, too, are divine? Can we love others enough to care deeply about what matters to them, even if we don't understand it? Can we love the world enough to give part of ourselves in service, even in sacrifice, to its wholeness? Can we love spirit enough to let it in when it comes? As it is right now in this moment, come in, love, welcome. Let us worship together. And in the spirit of love and worship, you are invited to rise in body, mind, or spirit, wherever you are, to join in singing number 18, What Wondrous Love. And it will be on the screens, or you can find it in the gray hymnal.
And Sarah, being young at heart, is going to help us light the chalice. Thank you. We'll have to go play kickball after the service. Please join me in reciting our affirmation. We gather together in a spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another.
Good morning. It's been a little while since we've seen this. You all remember what this is? For those of you who are new, this is our Wonder Box. And when we do the Wonder Box, I have something inside the box. And before we reveal what's in the box and tell our story for the morning, I'm going to invite all of you once again to wonder about what it is that is in this box. So, any suggestions for this morning? What do you think I've got in here this morning? Valentine's. Chocolate candy. Any other suggestions? Hugs? Hearts. Our hearts. Yeah, that's a good one too. Any other suggestions? I'm kind of disappointed. I said to Reverend Holly, I said, who's going to say air? You say air? I was going to say everybody. Mike said air. All right, so let's find out what besides air is in the box. And I'm going to invite any of my young friends or old friends who would like to come up and see what is in our box. Can I have some helpers? The crafts are just so much more entertaining right now. Y'all can come up if you want to, or you can stay there. It's okay. All right, so let's see what we got in the box. We're going to do it a little differently today, too, because some things didn't fit in the box. So take that out very carefully. things under the table here, and I'm going to ask you all to very carefully look under the table. And can we bring those out?
Be very careful.
Okay, let's put them over here. Let's move over here. Okay. So what have we got here? Yeah, I think you're just going to have to stand there and hold that for us, okay? What have we got here? Does anybody know? What's that? That's a fan, yeah, and a fan creates a good breeze, right? Yeah. I got that one at Pride. It's been a nice big fan. Do you know what these are? Bamboo, right, very good. And our story this morning is called The Bamboo and the Storm. And that's obviously the bamboo, so that's going to be the storm, okay? So our theme for this month for Soul Matters is resilience. And so the story about bamboo and the storm is a story about resilience. And it begins with a young monk in a faraway small mountain town. And his village had been through a lot, and he was feeling kind of overwhelmed. There'd been a lot of storms. Can you give us some storm? Yeah, so there'd been a lot of storms, and the roof on the little temple had been leaking, and people just kept coming to him with problems all the time and all these worries, and he just didn't know what to tell people anymore. And he was just really feeling the weight of the world. So he went to his teacher, who was sitting beside a grove of bamboo, and he said, "I don't understand, teacher. Everything just feels just so heavy right now. I keep trying to be strong, but we've had all of these storms, and they just keep coming, and I feel so worn down, like I'm going to break." And his teacher looked at him, and he nodded gently, and he pointed to the bamboo. Can we hold up the bamboo? And he said, "Watch." And suddenly, a big gust of wind, can we have a big gust of wind, came down the mountainside. And what do you think that bamboo did? It bent over a little bit, because you feel it's kind of, but it did not break. And the wind stopped and went past, and the bamboo righted itself and came right back up again. And it was tall and steady again. And the older monk looked at the young one, and he said, "You know, a lot of people think that resilience means being really firm, standing really firm against every challenge." He said, "But that bamboo, it teaches us something completely different, because it doesn't resist the wind. When the wind comes along, the bamboo bends with the wind, and then it rises back up again." And then the teacher brushed aside a little bit of the soil, and he said, "See that tiny little shoot of bamboo in there? You guys look, you can see some young ones in there." And he said, "See that little one there? That's only like a week old. And it's not thinking about what storms have already come, what storms might be about to come. The only thing it's worried about is how to grow straight and strong up towards the light." And the young monk, he touched the bamboo, and he thought, "Yeah, I can feel there's strength in there." But he said, "But teacher, what if the storm is just too strong? What if we bend so far that we can't rise again?" And the teacher said, "Well, that's when we rely on the grove. You see, this bamboo is all by itself, but all of these bamboo, they're not all alone, are they? No, they're all, and you know what? They're all connected under there. They're all connected under the ground. So when one of the stalks is weakened and it bends over, the other ones will help hold it up. So when that big wind comes past, everybody can hang on to each other and come back up again." And as the wind began to blow again, can we have some more wind? Thank you, Arya. The young monk watched the bamboo move together, and we all sway with the wind. And something inside the young monk shifted, and he felt a different sense of strength. And it wasn't just his own strength, it was a shared strength. "Thank you," he said quietly to his teacher. "I understand now." And his teacher said, "Storms will come again, but with a community of support, so will our rising." And just like these bamboo together with their roots, this community is our grove. And when one of us is feeling a little overwhelmed, a little bent, the whole grove can help support us. Okay? So, we're going to leave the bamboo right here, except for I'm going to hang on to that one, okay? We're going to leave the other ones right here on the table. And I'll take the fan. And thank you so very much.
This is the time we set aside for the offering in order to give toward the financial vitality of this community. Also, 25% of the undesignated collection each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. For the month of February, we are partnering with Ripple of One. Each week, we also collect non-perishable food for the Clemson Community Cares Food Bank. You may also give by going to the UUFC website and using the donate button. There you will see options for paying your pledge and donating towards the organizations we partner with. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you once again for your generosity. And I have several joys and sorrows to share this week. Some that are handed here, but some that have been sent by other means. And the reason why we share our joys and our sorrows is so that we may hold one another, like this bamboo, as we bend and sway the things that we go through in our lives. It helps hold us. And so, excuse me. As I share each of the joys and sorrows this morning, I've asked Karl to place a stone in this bowl, this vessel representing our shared community. Let's see. I have a sorrow from Nancy Sumner's, as well as an update that her father, who's been on hospice the last couple of weeks, is being kept comfortable. And on top of that, earlier this week, her sister Liz was admitted to the ICU due to an extremely low blood sugar, but she is improving and should be moved to a regular room very soon. Prayers continue to be welcome. Audrey Lanford shares a sorrow that effective February 12th, Indiana's Bureau of Motor Vehicles has banned transgender individuals from being able to change their gender marker on their driver's license, even with a court order. This is yet another in a string of human rights that the state of Indiana has been stripping away from trans people for the last several years. My heart goes out to the trans individuals who will be affected by this discriminatory practice and those who are moving to fight against it. Have a note from Garrett and that they successfully set up my super AI laptop computer after a near-death experience. Is that a near-death of computer experience? Okay. That's what I was hoping for. Okay. Yeah. Have a joy from Nancy Brown, a thank you to all of the New York officials who care about Stonewall and that pride flag. Have a joy from Holly Ulbrich that her family welcomes our newest member, Mabel K. Didio, born to granddaughter Carolyn in Aiken? Aiken on February 9th. Yes. And speaking of new life and experiences in life, I also have a message from Nancy Simmons. She has a celebration that her grandbaby, Maddie Baldwin, is now 6 months old, and that she loves her to pieces, and she's so fortunate to be able to help keep her 2 days a week. And in so doing, she's physically stronger and keeping better hours for herself. Hopefully, she will soon be able to make it back to service since she's getting more accustomed to getting up earlier and have the energy and money to do so. So please don't forget her, and she wanted to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day, that she loves and misses everyone, and emails or phone calls would be appreciated. And finally, we have a note that was in the announcements, but continuation of that from Meg Williamson, that the new UU sign is coming soon. So we'll have a new sign out by the road, and it will be 68 inches by 52 inches and a little bit closer to the road. So hopefully people will be able to find us easier. Or see a sign and go, I wonder what that is. So, I would like to also place a stone for all of those joys and sorrows that remain quiet and tender upon our hearts this morning, and pause for just a moment of silence. Now, for a tone change, I invite you to help us sing Go Now in Peace as our young ones go to their RE classes, if they would like to, with Meg and Karen.
a reflection on the origin and nature of agape love. Although agape, or self-sacrificial love, is held in high esteem and enshrined in lofty words by people on opposite sides of many divides, I aim to show that its deeds and practice emerge from profane or worldly loves, and in particular, eros. Agape, when actually practiced, generally appears to revolve around family, friends, and tribe, and is rarely directed toward those with different worldviews, religions, or divergent faiths in the existence or non-existence of God. This is unsurprising, since as the Greeks noted, there is love of family, friends, oneself, and playful and committed love, in addition to eros and agape. Agape emerges then in some fashion from the 6 profane loves. Carl Sagan affirmed the view that love as action was a prerequisite for the emergence of the mammals and the survival of their young. Human love emerged on the savanna in the transition from ape to Homo sapiens, reinforced by myths. The ape still dwells within us, and this unresolved tension gives rise to the sacred, expressed in the thesis and title of Dudley Young's book, Origins of the Sacred, The Ecstasies of Love and War. There is no alchemy that can separate agape from the family of profane loves or its intimacy with the human love of war. Pope Benedict XVI, in his encyclical letter, Deus Caritas Est, God is love, presents the case that agape in the absence of eros is impossible, since they form a whole of giving and receiving. It is eros that brings a man and a woman together, providing the potentially fertile ground where they can learn to cherish and sacrifice for each other, and expand that emerging agape love in the conception and nourishing of children. Lessons learned in this school of loving can then expand outward to extended family, local community, and then to the wider world. In this view, agape emerges naturally from eros and the profane, and is not something that is or can be imposed, demanded, or even expected. William Butler Yeats, in his poem, Crazy Jane Talks with the Bishop, captures evocatively this union of eros and agape. In my view, the third stanza captures every dimension of human love. A woman can be proud and stiff when on love intent, but love has pitched his mansion in the place of excrement, for nothing can be soul or whole that has not been rent. Crazy Jane speaks for most of us in our desire to love and give of ourselves to others, although we do so in both selfish and unselfish ways. And when our gift of love is denied, rejected, or betrayed, being proud and stiff is the defensive shield we employ. Love's mansion in the place of waste profoundly and succinctly captures agape love in a multitude of ways that surpasses all other descriptions in the English language. Although explicitly referring to human anatomy and eros, the lines also capture the essence of Christian theology, wherein God sent his Son to a fallen world to redeem and teach humanity how to love sacrificially through his crucifixion upon the cross. Additionally, the healthy family is where we first experience nurturing love and the commingling of love and expulsion. This is too often seen in the fragmentation of families over time, with the expulsion of a member or an individual's expulsion of the family group. And then there are those expelled from a group who are fortunate to find loving acceptance somewhere else. The man who organized our Sparkleberry Swamp kayaking excursion has spent a career trying to teach severely disabled children to read. His girlfriend and her now deceased husband had adopted 3 children, and upon her husband's death, one went to a mental institution and another to a group home. The wife continued to care for the 21-year-old woman with the language capacity of a 2-year-old. After encountering the young woman at our evening fireside chats, I'm still trying to process the extraordinary devotion and commitment required of the couple to care for this young woman. Although there are likely multiple origins of this agape love, I suspect that it arises in part from eros and the love of a man and a woman. In this story, I see both Pope Benedict's unification of eros, agape, and philia, or platonic love. Finally, the idea that nothing can be soul or whole that has not been rent spans a range of disciplines and discourses. When we personally experience pain, suffering, injustice, and the unfairness of the world, we begin to look beyond ourselves and see that this state of affairs is a condition of human life, as prolific as the lilies of the field. This realization can engender in us a greater capacity to love others, reconcile ourselves to this unavoidable aspect of human existence, and strengthen our resolve to seek respite. Escape from despair and developing a resiliency to endure can arise from loving others. Loving others can release us from the destructive grip of grievances, anger, and resentment. The impulse toward agape love does not arise from exaltations from the pulpit, but rather from the boiling cauldron that is life, from the struggle between desire and restraint, between the forces that bind us together and those that separate us from one another. While I do not place agape love on a pedestal, I do think it prudent and wise to love expansively as you are able, and to be open to unexpected and unpredictable experiences that may spark your desire and capacity to love. Be not afraid to embrace the boiling cauldron that is life, for in its chaotic, creative froth, you may find love routinely and in the hour of need. May we be open to the redeeming experiences of love, both giving and receiving.
So today we have something a little bit different, a little bit special. You may have heard me mention that there is a new virtual hymnal in which there are a lot of different pieces of music. And you don't have to raise your hand, but sometimes I've heard people say that our music is kind of boring, or we've done it too much, or it's hard. But we have some new pieces to try. Now, this one's a little bit jazzy and a little bit fast, but the choir is going to model it for us. And then we'll do a reading, and then they're going to help us as a congregation sing it. Thank you. And that's without a real practice on Monday of it, because these lovely folks from the choir came out to the Clemson University vigil for those that had been harmed by ice and sang there in the cold. So they got to practice in this morning, but I think they did fantastic. Yay. So I have a reading that I would like to have you listen to and engage with. That's called Embodied Love. Embodied love, what does that even mean? Embody love? There's a great power in love, and when we embody that power, we transcend into new realms of being. Our breath becomes the embodied breath of love, and our living becomes the embodied dreams of our ancestors. There is a great steadfast power in love. A true power holds space for those to seek, long for, and receive love. Yet, power without love, in the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is reckless and abusive. Power without love is reckless and abusive. Love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. This type of love is not a love that we can simply name, but a love that we must embody, a love that we must live out. We must embrace love, calling us forward, pushing us deeper within our bones and beings, a love that must make us known, not just by our words, but by our actions, our living, and our very being. This is what the embodiment of love looks like. This is what the embodiment of love is all about. Being present in the moment, in our body, in our mind, and our souls. Our presence overflows out of our hands and out of our feet and into the streets. This is love on fire. And this is love that will change the world. This is a love that will liberate and transform our living and the lives of others. So now I invite all of you to rise and body, mind, or spirit to join in singing Love is at the Center. And if you're not comfortable singing it right away, the choir is going to be over here singing out. And even if it's just the part that says love is at the center, if you can jump into it there, that's a great start. This is the first time we're all doing it together. Okay. There is a love that is at the center. There is a love that is holding us, that is around us. Love has the power to change the world. Love can and is the connection point between individuals, the care that deeply connects us. In romantic love, whatever the dynamics of that romantic relationship happens to be, women that love women or non-binary people, men that love men, trans individuals that identify in so many different ways. Romantic love helps to form our connections. That familial love, whether it is love of our family of origin or our family of our own making. Love helps us connect. As Karl mentioned, that love is an important starting place. And I would also add that we don't want to be a selfish love, but we also have to know how to love ourselves a little bit. Because if we don't understand what love is, it is hard for us to return that to other people. When power and love are combined, it creates a space of justice and caring for one another that moves in us and through us. That power, however, without love, as we have seen, when it is abused, when it is corrupted, leads to great harm, and we have seen far too much of that already this year. That's why we had the vigil on Clemson's campus, to hold those that have been lost through violence from ICE. And that does not count all of those that have been removed from their family and do not have the access to medical care or access to legal representation in their families. And I don't want to dwell on that part of it because I think we are all very aware of that harm and violence that is happening and that is being state sanctioned, that is being federally sanctioned. What I want to focus on this morning is love, in case that wasn't clear in the theme. Anybody pick up on that yet? Okay, good. I'm guessing the giggles and chuckles are representative of y'all picking up on that. But on the other side of the violence that is happening, there is a beautiful thing that is happening in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, but also in so many other places around the world. Communities are coming together, protecting immigrant neighbors, protecting their neighbors that are in harm for other reasons. And the point that is so important here is that they have been intentional about creating networks of mutual aid. They have been intentional about checking in with one another. They have been intentional about showing their care and their compassion for their community, sometimes sacrificing for the well-being of their communities. And another piece of this, it's not just in those communities that are directly impacted, but it is people coming across the country. There was a call to clergy just about 3 weeks ago, 1,000 or so clergy from across the country went and joined the people in Minneapolis. They held spaces for prayer. They had a sit-in in Target. They had gatherings outside of the hotels where ICE agents were. They blocked traffic in and out of the airport. There were clergy that were arrested during this active, peaceful resistance for being there and praying, but disrupting. Not business as usual, but disrupting. And taking that journey to be there. Some compared it to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s call for clergy to come to Selma during the Civil Rights Movement. While it's not exactly the same for a lot of different reasons, it was a powerful show of solidarity with that community. And I've witnessed some beautiful things online. I am overwhelmed by all the negative news sometimes, but then there are glimmers of hope. There are things that are of great beauty, of people coming together. One of those things is those that were gathered outside of the hotel. So I'm going to contradict you, Karl. Just so you know. These people were outside of the hotel singing to ICE, saying that it was not too late to change their mind, that it wasn't too late, that they still had humanity that was worth being cared about, even though they didn't agree. And that doesn't always work. But showing up with love and not hate, is that hard? Yeah. But I think it's important that we continue to show up with love, even when it is hard, because I think it's important for us to not show up with the hatred that is being pointed at us. Also, as Dr. King said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. That is a strong stance to take, whether it's in the civil rights movement or now, to show up with love and compassion and care for your community in an effort to drive away the hate that others are pointing at you. Peaceful, nonviolent, direct action doesn't mean that it's always nonviolent to those that are practicing it. As we have seen. However, it is an important way for us to continue to resist stooping to the level of hate that would be far too easy sometimes. At the vigil the other night, we had our big banner that is red with white letters that says, "Love, not hate." That was held by Meg and Elaine Faithful, that had the name of UUFC at the bottom. The choir sang for a call for peace in this world. And I shared one of the other things that is giving me hope, the ways in which we build community. And that doesn't mean just here in this room. Now, I'm going to call out a few organizations. And I want to see if any of you are willing to raise your hand or nod if you're involved in one or more of them. Okay? Sierra Club, League of Women Voters, okay? The South Carolina UU Justice Alliance, okay? Habitat for Humanity, okay? NAACP, ACLU, PFLAG, okay? That list could go on a lot longer. Obviously, a lot of you bring food for Clemson Community Care. There are those that prepare meals for our daily rest. These are all points of connection and care within our community. And they go beyond just this room. So while we may not be targeted in the same way as larger cities, having these connections, these communities that are connected to one another will give us a strength and an opportunity for resistance to what is going on in the world, even when it is hard. It can help remind us to keep that love going, to keep love at the center. The other piece that I shared at the vigil that I want to share with you that has given me so much hope is that even since I sang a little bit of it at the vigil, I have seen even more videos from around the world, from a group of Irish folks in a hall a little bit bigger than this, in churches around the country. Maybe some of you have heard it. I've heard it a lot from the Resistance Revival Choir. And I'm going to attempt to sing it a little bit again for you. And if you want, I can ask you to join in with me, okay? So the words are, hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn. Short, simple, and something that is being sung over and over again. And so, hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. And it repeats, walking through the streets in Minneapolis, gathering at vigils and other places that are honoring what is going on in the world. Hold on. Hold on, my dear ones. For those far away and for those here in this room, may you find something that helps you to hold on. May you be as this bamboo is, tied together so that when the storm comes, you are able to bend and not break, to be able to support one another. There is a power in love. As I come to a close, I want to say something that I know I have said here before, and you've probably heard it from other places, that as Unitarian Universalist, we believe in deeds, not creeds, and that we pray with our feet. Many of y'all heard that from me or otherwise. And what that means is that we show up to different actions. But I want to be very, very, very clear. Not everybody shows up in the same way. Sometimes it's donating supplies, bottles of water, sunscreen, things like that for protests and actions. Sometimes it's organizing a poster-making party or giving money to one of those many organizations that I listed a moment ago to support the work they are doing in the world, to writing or calling. This week, a group of UUs from across the country planned a 40-hour blitz of our elected officials with people calling one after the other, leaving messages as our government officials were getting ready to vote on funding for ICE. Again, I continue to find hope and love being represented even in the darkness. And it is what helps keep me finding that love. It would be so easy in the face of some of the hatred to just give in. But we must hold on, must keep that love at the center. And I want to transition us right into our closing hymn that calls for us to find more love, more hope, more joy somewhere. If you'll rise in body, mind, or spirit, wherever you are, to join in singing number 95, There's More Love. Before you sit down, last week I had us try something a little bit different. I have a couple of closing words, and then I have the words that I use to extinguish the chalice that I want to invite y'all to join me in saying. So my closing words are from Cornell West. Love is what justice looks like in the streets. Justice is what love looks like in the streets. So, our closing words when I extinguish the chalice each week is, may you go in peace and return in love. So, I would like to invite you to say with me as I extinguish our chalice, may you go in peace. May you return in love.